Hello and welcome to this edition of SFG Top Performance. Today we're going to do a grain and feed podcast. Scott and Mike are with me and they'll kick in on the feed here in just a little bit. On the grain, the roller coaster ride just continues. This thing, going on over 2 years now as far as the volatility in this market, and it just seems to continue. This past week, oil dipped down below $90. Hey, that's good for us filling our gas tanks, but that's kind of an indicator that the commodity traders watch, and so that might trickle in, or probably will trickle into the grain markets at some point if oil continues to drop. Doesn't appear that the Middle East is going to pump a lot more oil than they are today, maybe just a little more, but we've got to get this country back pumping oil if we're going to get out of this problem and take care of ourselves first. So we've kind of been trading highs and lows in the last couple of weeks. Right now, corn and beans are both somewhere in the middle. $6 December corn futures, $14 on the beans. That seems to be the midpoint of the trading ranges today. And we vary 20, 30 cents either way of that pretty easily, it seems like. And coming up next Friday, it would be the USDA August supply and demand report, another highly anticipated report. This year, not only will they possibly adjust expected yields and acres again that was planted this spring, but they resurveyed 3 states, the Dakotas and Minnesota, and those numbers will be available. When the July report was out, when the numbers were taken for the July report, I should say, those states weren't done planning, so they're thinking they'll have some final numbers. Might be a few more bean acres, but probably not a lot, and we could see a dip in the corn acres, which that would be beneficial to us. Private analysts are already throwing out their estimates for the yields, and most of them are coming in, say, a bushel or maybe 2 bushel less than the USDA on corn, and a half to 1 full bushel less on beans. Corn, we can take a little bit of that and stay on a carry out that's okay. Beans, if we was to lose a bushel, that's going to tighten us up about 90 million bushel. We're already somewhat tight. That would get the thing down to where the carry out numbers are almost in a rationing mode, you might say. I think that's why we're still seeing $14 December beans. November beans. Traders just don't want to back away from there just yet because of the uncertainty of the crop. The weather's been almost as erratic as the grain markets. It's a matter of the haves and have-nots on the rain. Most of our trade area has been the have-nots of late, and we're all looking for a rain. We could use one. There's also the other extreme. Kentucky a week ago, Southern Illinois early this week, 12 to 15 inch rains, and they came fast, hard. We were just talking a minute ago here. I think we'd rather be dry as have something like that go through and create a lot of damage. It takes a long time to get back in that. So hopefully we get a little bit of rain to finish this crop off. Corn, it's critical right now to do the fill. The potential's still there for a decent crop, a above average crop maybe even, but we're losing yield every day that we go. The heat will determine that too. We've seen a couple of weeks of some very strong heat, and predicting some more next week. Let's hope that kind of backs up a little bit. Meanwhile, the drought monitor, the drought maps keep increasing in Iowa, the area, and we're not in the severe drought in this area, but we're definitely in the drought. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's simple to say we're all waiting for that $1 million rain, and this year it'll be worth every dollar of that. So a lot of other things impacting the markets. Ukraine started shipping some grain this past week. Very slow. A couple cargoes went out, and they have to inspect it. I thought maybe they were going to give us a grain quality inspection, but what they're really looking for is contraband, making sure that there's not something else going out in those ships that's not supposed to. They're also highly inspecting the ships coming in to make sure there's not military equipment being brought into that country. So I don't think a lot of grain's going to move very fast, but they are starting to move some. Political things going on, and this past week was a perfect example of that. House Speaker Pelosi made a decision on her own to visit Taiwan. She did not have full support of President Biden, which I thought was kind of odd. They're from the same party. You'd think they'd be on the same page, and they were not. She more or less took that upon herself. And I think all of us understand the situation there with the Chinese wanting to do away with democracy in that part of the world. But for us to go over there and dictate, it also struck the agriculture sector a little hard because of the lack of the Chinese wanting to come back and buy from us. Now this morning they're back in the market buying some beans, so we haven't scared them completely off, but we just can't undermine what we've worked at the last 2 or 3 years to get them back as a major buyer. So hopefully we can get through that and get moved on. With that, I'll turn it over to Scott, and he'll kick off the feed part of the podcast.
All right, thanks, Mark. Well, summer keeps chugging along. Days are getting noticeably shorter now. Harvest time will be here soon. The state fair starts next week. Good luck to all those showing up there. Warren County Fair just finished up. SFG feed had a good showing again with several breed champions and class winners in all species. My favorite thing though was that we fed the Rate of Gain champion lamb this year, and we dominated the Rate of Gain in calves. All but 2 out of the top 15% were eating SFG feed. Congratulations to all those exhibitors, and thank you for choosing SFG for your feed needs. Moving on, if you haven't started supplementing your cows yet, it's time. The grass in the Milo area is the equivalent of eating straw right now, and the cows' requirements are still fairly high, so they need some kind of supplement to help them digest that grass and get everything they can out of it and keep their nutrition and their condition up. Talk to me or Mike and we'll figure out what works best in your situation. A lot of producers are starting to talk about pulling calves off early right now to help with short pastures. If you can get some creep out there, your calves can learn to eat in the pasture and start adjusting to a grain-based diet. And then when you wean, we have a good selection of preconditioning feed, which is very palatable and easily digestible. Both of those things pay dividends back when it comes to keeping stress levels down at weaning time. So again, talk to me or Mike and we can help you out with either one of those things. On the grain side of things, the leg and the drags have finally arrived in Milo. The leg is about 2/3 of the way up and they're making good progress. Everything should be finished by harvest time. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And that's about all I got. Mike?
Well, as Scott said, the pastures are short, and they're short everywhere. I got guys that are hauling water and hay to pastures already. So I know you guys got a lot of challenges here, and we got to work together and try and help you get through them. But there's a lot of guys that either haven't put creep out yet, and I honestly don't know what you're waiting for. Mama's going to get pulled down. The calf's not going to put on the weight that she needs. And just as a reminder, guys, get the creep out now. These calves are hungry. The guys that have been getting creep said they're eating it so fast that they can't hardly keep the creep feeders full. They're calling us more often than we thought. And just as a reminder, good creep feed is going to cost you about 85 cents to put on a pound of gain, and calves are still bringing $1.80 to $1.90 a pound, so it's a pretty good return. So get the creep feeders going. It's about time to start chopping, and everybody's going to have a different situation. Some are going to have drought corn, some are going to have normal corn. So there's some management things we can help you with, so call us and let's talk about it. But I know some guys have talked to their insurance companies, and they're probably going to be chopping next week. They're not going to have any corn in it, but it's going to be what it is. But be sure and raise that bar 6 to 8 inches to reduce that nitrate challenge. And just as kind of a reminder, I've been sending out some stuff by emails, and those of you that don't like the email, I've been mailing some management things to do as chopping season. But silage should be harvested at about 34 to 37 dry matter, which is just over the 50% kernel milk line. So kind of is the main guideline to look like there. And again, I know you guys are forced with weather situations, markets, what do I do? But there is a light. It seems to be here and to stay, the cattle market. April futures, they hit 157 yesterday on the board. And feeder cattle are still bringing real good money, so that's why you want to creep and get those pounds on. So the cattle guys, thank goodness for all the hard work. It's looking positive. So again, contact us about chopping season and questions you have. Get the creep feed ordered and get in the feeders, and let's put those pounds on those calves and make you some money. But we again appreciate your business, and if you need samples taken as we get into this fall on different roughages and stuff to help you with diets, why, give us a holler. So we do appreciate your business, and please call us anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Due to state fair and some vacations and stuff, we're going to skip the next podcast. So the next one that the three of us will produce will be in about a month. So in the meantime, let's hope we get a little rain. Enjoy some time with your family. You know, before we know it, the calendar's going to turn over and fall's here, and we're on the go every day. So find some time. Plus, those kids will be back in school here in about 3 weeks. Hard to believe, but summer's almost away from us. Thanks again for tuning in.